Okay. Hey, welcome back. It's my name's Kelly, and we're gonna read chapter 4 of Clementine's letter by Sara Pennypacker. So I'm so glad you're here, and we're gonna get reading. We stopped on chapter 3 with, let's see, what was going on? Oh, right. Clementine was at home with her mom. Mr. DeMatz might have been leaving. Okay, so let's get started. Chapter 4. And thanks for coming, and let's get going. When I got home from school, I took out my homework assignment, put it on the kitchen table, and stared at the blank sheet of paper. My mom came in and asked me if I wanted a snack. No, I said. I kept my teeth clenched together, so it sounded like a growl, a fierce growl. What I want is for my teacher not to leave. My mom gave me some cheese and juice anyway. Oh, Mr. DeMatz is leaving? Oh, that's too bad. You like him a lot. Want to tell me about it? Just then, we heard a crash in the living room, and my brother laughing. This meant he was in the art supply cupboard again. Let's hope he didn't find those markers, my mom said, and she ran out of the room. Then my dad walked in. He took one look at my face and unhooked the keys from his belt. Do you want to take a ride, he said. When I'm angry, my dad lets me ride the service elevator until I calm down. No, I growled again. What I want is not to have to do this homework. My dad sat down beside me. Tough assignment, huh? Want to tell me about it? He asked. I really did, but just then his work phone rang. When he came back, he said, Sorry, sport, it'll have to wait. The elevator's broken again. We'll talk about it later. My dad is the manager of our apartment building. He says that this means that he's in charge of all the problems, but he's in charge of all the good parts too, like the roof. Sometimes on summer nights, my family goes up to the rooftop, which is 8 stories high, and we can see all of Boston from up there. We bring up large extra cheese pizza and a lamp with a really long extension cord, and we all play the board game Life up there on top of the city. Well, my parents and I play Life. Broccoli just jams the pigs into little plastic cars and races them around the board. This makes my parents laugh. They say my brother is living life in the fast lane. Just then, my kitten walked into the kitchen and jumped into my lap. I cuddled him and fed him pieces of my cheese. He started to purr. Don't worry, I'm not going to go off anywhere, I told him. Nope, you can count on me. If I say I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here. My brother came in the kitchen then. Play with me, he said. I held up my paper. I can't, Lima Bean. I have to do my homework. My brother laughed as if I told him a really good joke and climbed up on my lap next to Moisturizer, my cat. It's not funny, I told him. You'll see. In 5 years, you'll be in 3rd grade like I am, and then you might have to do a stupid assignment like this one. I'm actually not so sure about this. When my brother wakes up, he sticks one foot up in the air and smiles really big when he sees it, as if it's his best friend he's been missing all night. He waggles it back and forth and thinks it's waving to him. Hi, foot, he yells, hi, foot. Then he does the same thing with his other foot. I don't think anyone who says hello to his own feet is ever going to make it to 3rd grade. I guess my brother didn't think he was ever going to make it to 3rd grade either. He just meowed at me, and then he and Moisturizer took turns eating pieces of my cheese. When it was all gone, they jumped down and went off to play together. Oh, so here's a picture of her little brother and her kitten eating the cheese. I sat down to write, Dear Adventures for Teachers Judges, I wrote. Then I stared at my paper, and I tried to think of something to say. I tried until I started to smell brain smoke. Then I gave up, and I went down to the freezer for a popsicle to cool my head down. While I was eating, my dad came back in to get a wrench. He walked past me, shaking his head. I ought to write a book, he muttered. My dad is always saying I ought to write a book. He says that as building manager, he sees a lot of strange things. Mostly, he says, they're fascinating, wonderful things. But he also says there are a lot more nutballs out there than anyone could imagine, and he could write a really good book if he sat down to try. Suddenly, I had a wonderful idea. I went to my mom's art supply cupboard and took out a fresh sketch pad. On the cover, in really important looking letters, I wrote, The Building Manager by Dad. Underneath, I drew a picture of our apartment building. On the first page, I wrote the sentence to get him started. Once there was a building manager. I went into my parents' bedroom and I put the pad on the table next to my dad's side of the bed. Here's the pictures. There's the book. Then I brought my homework up to the lobby to see if he could help me while he was fixing the elevator. I didn't find him, but I did find Margaret's older brother, Mitchell. He was oiling his baseball glove, looking bored. "What are you doing down here?" I asked. Mitchell pointed up. "Margaret's cleaning my room. I have to stay out." My room is a tiny bit messy. I should have Margaret clean my room so it looks like hers. "How much does it cost?" I asked. $3, Mitchell answered. $3? Oh, I guess I wouldn't pay that much to get my room cleaned. "Neither would I," Mitchell agreed. "That's how much Margaret pays me to let her do it. I'm saving up for a new bat. Otherwise, I wouldn't let her. When she's done, I can't find any of my stuff." "She hides it?" I said. "No, she just lines it all up in order. You know Margaret and her rules. Short to tall, new to old, alphabetical order. It takes me hours to get it all back the way I like it." Mitchell slumped down and I slumped down next to him so he wouldn't feel so lonely. Then I told him all about my teacher trying to go to Egypt. That's what he thinks is more important than us," I said, digging around looking for old mummies and dumb hieroglyphics. "And he doesn't even want to go." "So he'll be camping," Mitchell said. "I guess," I said, "but he'll be gone, Mitchell, after he promised he'd be there all year long." But Mitchell was stuck on the camping thing. He whistled. "I sure hope he doesn't get stuck in a tent with somebody like Beans McLeod." "You're not listening to me, Mitchell," I said. Mitchell kept on not listening to me. "Dude," he said, shaking his head as if he still couldn't get over how bad things had been. So there is Clementine, Mitchell, Margaret's older brother. I had to live with him for 2 whole weeks at summer camp. I gave up. "All right, what's so bad about Beans McLeod?" I said. "What wasn't so bad about him?" "Well, to start with, his socks. He never took them off. And I mean never. I think his mother put those socks on Beans in the cradle, and he just got attached to them or something." Mitchell pinched his nose and pretended to faint. "Those socks nearly peeled the canvas off our tent." "Oh, come on," I said. "It couldn't have been that bad." Mitchell took off his Red Sox cap and held it over his heart, which means "I swear" to the Red Sox. "Clementine," he said, "when that kid went hunking, even the skunks keeled over." I couldn't help laughing at that. When I have a boyfriend, which I will never have, I'm going to pick someone as funny as Mitchell. I did a drawing on the back of my homework paper so I wouldn't forget what he said. Here it is. Looks like a skunk keeling over. Mitchell was still muttering about Beans. "And that was just the first thing. That kid should have come with a warning label." "How come?" I said. "So somebody would have known not to let him in." And suddenly, I had a really good idea. I flipped my homework paper over to the Dear Adventures for Teachers side. "Okay, start at the beginning," I said. "Tell me everything that should have been on Beans McLeod's warning label. Mitchell, don't leave anything out." Chapter 5. Here we go, Chapter 5. At breakfast Tuesday morning, my mom asked about my teacher leaving. "Oh, it's no big deal, Mom," I said. "He'll be back on Monday." Then my dad asked how I was coming with my homework assignment. I told him, "Great, I just need one more thing. How do you spell menace to society?" My dad spelled it, then asked if that was really all. "I thought it was giving you some trouble," he said. "Well, no, Mitchell helped me, and it was easy." "That was nice of him," he said. "Do you want to show it to us?" "Oh, no, it's kind of sort of a surprise," I said, which was the truth, because my letter was going to be a pretty big surprise, all right, to those judges. My dad left, and I sneaked into his room to see if he had worked on his book I had started for him. He had. Just one sentence, though. After "once there was a building manager," my dad had written, "he was extremely handsome, and he had the strength of 10 oxen." Sometime my dad needs help staying on track, so I pointed him in the right direction. "He saw lots of interesting things," I wrote. On the bus to school, I told Margaret about helping him start a book. She just snorted. "Well, now you have to do something nice for your mother. That's the rule. It's not fair if you don't." "You're right," I said. "I don't like it when String Bean gets a present and I don't. And my mom lives in that room too, so she's gonna know about it. Margaret looked like she was really mad at me then. You're so lucky, she said. What do you mean? Well, you're just always so lucky and you don't even know it. How am I lucky, Margaret? I was hoping she had found out I was getting a gorilla for Christmas, but it wasn't that. Well, for one thing, she said, you don't have Mitchell. I have zucchini, I said. Your brother's cute. You have no idea what I have to put up with. And she made a face that looked like that, because I happen to think Mitchell is not so bad after all, which does NOT not mean that he's my boyfriend. And for another thing, you don't have Alan, she added. Alan is Margaret's mother's boyfriend. Whenever Margaret says his name, she makes a face like someone's asking her to pat a slug. I made the face back, because she's right about Alan. I figured it was really my dad who was lucky Mom didn't have a boyfriend. But I didn't tell Margaret. Instead, I just asked her if there was anything else she thought I was lucky about. If you don't know, I'm not going to tell you, she said. Then she slammed her mouth shut into a ruler line. Except it didn't work because her lips got stuck on her braces, which she calls teeth bracelets. I turned away so I wouldn't laugh because I knew how bad it feels to be laughed at. Okay, fine. And also because she's a little bigger than I am and her pocketbook has pointy edges. Don't forget, Margaret said when we got off the bus, today, only do what Lily does. I tried. As soon as Lily sat down, she opened up her backpack, took her homework paper out, and put it into her desk. I opened up my backpack, took my homework paper out, and put it into my desk. So far, so good. Then Lily poked her brother in the back of his neck and hissed at him to put his homework away too. I poked Willie's neck, but not too hard, because he had a lot of poke marks there, and I hissed at him too. Then Mrs. Nagel clapped our hands for our attention. Lily slipped her hands into a pile on her desk and straightened up. I stretched over to see better. She was staring at Mrs. Nagel as if she was hypnotized. I slapped my hands into a pile and made the hypnotized look too. Then I slid down to the floor to get a better look at what Lily was doing with the rest of her body. And you will not believe what I saw. Every part of Lily was completely frozen. Nothing was wiggling, not even a single toe. Mrs. Nagel had hypnotized her into a statue. In front of her, Willie was frozen too. Clementine, what are you doing on the floor? Mrs. Nagel shouted. Okay, fine, maybe she just said it, but from the floor it sounded like a shout. Did you lose something? No, I was just trying to see what Lily was doing so I could do it too, I exclaimed. Well, there's an empty seat up in the front row, she said. Maybe it would be easier for you to concentrate if you moved up here. So I had to move to the front of the room where I had to look at her desk with all her stuff on it where my real teacher stuff belonged. Then she collected our homework papers. She put them in a big envelope. She placed the envelope on her desk. And that was good because all day long that envelope reminded me that our teacher was N-O-T, not going to win that Egypt prize. Nope. Once the judges read my letter, they were going to send him right back to our class Monday morning. He would be our teacher for the rest of the year, just like he wanted to be, just like he'd promised. It made me feel a lot better. Okay, fine. Not a lot better, but a little. When I got home from school, my parents were sitting at the kitchen table. They were staring at a stack of mail exactly the way I'd stared at my homework assignment the day before, as if they couldn't believe what they had to do. This meant it was the first of the month, which is Bill Day in my family. I don't like Bill Day because on Bill Day, my parents say no to whatever I ask. I tried anyway. I need to collect some new names for broccoli. Can one of you take me to the grocery store? First of all, your brother's name isn't broccoli. And second of all, no. They said it at the same time. Then they both looked like they had a wonderful sneaky idea. Wait, yes I can, they said at the same time, jumping up from the table. Then they looked at each other and all four of their shoulders sagged. And they sat back down. No, we can't. They both sighed at the same time and went back to staring at the bills. My mom looked up. It's Tuesday. Maybe Mitchell could take you. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, Margaret Mother works late at the bank, Sometimes she pays Mitchell's $2 to run her errands and bring Margaret along so he can watch her at the same time. "It's not babysitting," Margaret always yells at anyone they meet, and I should be the one getting the $2 to watch him. Sometimes my parents pay Mitchell to run errands and not babysit my brother and I too. I called the number. "Red Sox training camp, home of Mitchell the Mitt, future star player." Mitchell is obsessed with the Boston Red Sox. He says they're the greatest baseball team in the history of the world. He says the only way the Red Sox could possibly be any better would if he was on the team, which will be soon. But he only answers the phone this way when his mother isn't home. Margaret and Mitchell's mother doesn't have a sense of humor. My dad says living with Margaret and her rules every day would strain anyone's sense of humor. "Hey, Mitchell," I said, "my mom wants to know if you can not babysit us this afternoon and we can go to a grocery store." "Sure," he said. "Meet us in the lobby." My mom and I strapped Cabbage into his stroller and waited by the elevator. When Margaret and Mitchell came down, my mom gave Mitchell the $2 to not babysit us. And then she handed me some money to buy her a tube of oil paint at the art supply store. "Permanent rose," she said. Sometimes I get confused in the art store. All those beautiful colors and all those beautiful names of beautiful colors make me a little dizzy. Alizarian, crimson, Cerulean blue, cadmium, lemon. I started to feel faint just thinking about them. I stuck my arm out to my mom. "Maybe you should write it down, Mom." "Don't worry," she said. "You'll remember. Just think about your great Aunt Rose's hair. She has a permanent rose." "Permanent rose," I said. "I'll remember." "Okay, goodbye. See you in an hour. Remember about the peanuts," she said. My brother is allergic to peanuts. That means if he even eats one, his whole head will explode right off his neck. Then we got going. We went to the drugstore, the dry cleaners, and the video drop-off. The last shop was the art store. Here they are. Margaret, Clementine, Mitchell, and broccoli. In the paint section, hundreds of little tubes, all neat and new, sat on the shelf. Margaret threw up her hands and backed away, as if the tubes of paint were waiting to burst all over her clean clothes. Margaret doesn't even like to look at things that might get her dirty. "Quick, run over to the paper aisle," I told her. "Just keep staring at all those nice, clean stacks of paper." Mitchell took my brother off for a stroll around the store, and I went back to staring at the beautiful colors. Burnt sienna, manganese violet, viridian green. I started to feel woozy again. A clerk came over and asked if he could help me find something. "I'd like a tube of Mustache Rose oil paint," I told him. "Mustache Rose," he said. "Are you sure you've got the name right?" "I'm positive," I told him. "I know because my great Aunt Rose has a mustache, just a little bit. You have to look at her from the side to see it best." That's how I remembered. The paint color is about my great aunt's hair. Mitchell came up behind me and whispered into my ear. "Oh," I said, "make that a tube of permanent rose." The clerk found the paint and we went up to the register to buy it. And there, sitting on the counter, was a big, beautiful wooden box with lots of little compartments inside. Deluxe Supply Organizer, the sign said. "Look, Mitchell," I said, "this is like a little apartment building for paints and brushes and things to live in." My mom keeps her stuff in old cookie tins. My brother's always getting into them. This has a lock. She would really like this. She'd like it so much, she wouldn't even feel jealous about me helping my dad write a book. Here it is. Super Deluxe Paint Organizer. The price tag said $20. I dug into my pockets. 2 quarters and a nickel. The clerk handed me my mother's change. $3.11. She probably wouldn't mind loaning it to me for such a good present. "Can I borrow some money?" I asked Mitchell. "Nope," he said. "I'm saving up for my new bat, remember?" I stared at him. Mitchell threw his arms across his face and staggered backward. "No," he moaned. "Not stingray eyes, not stingray eyes, anything but that." My stingray eyes are extremely powerful. I use them only in emergencies. I turned them up to high power. "I give up," Mitchell cried. He took out his money. My mom's 2 regular dollar bills and 2 brand new ones. Margaret and Mitchell's mother works in a bank. She exchanges of all her dollar bills for clean, never been spent money. So Margaret doesn't even have to worry about germs. Now I had $7.66. Margaret, I yelled, come over here, please. Margaret came over, squinty-eyed at me. How much money do you have, I asked. $1, she answered. I'm going to buy some hand sanitizer. Not anymore, you're not. I'll give it back to you soon, but I have to buy this for my mom. You said so yourself, so she won't be jealous of the nice thing I did for my dad. Margaret pinched her fingers around her pocketbook and shook her head. I turned my stingray eyes on her, but she just turned hers back on me. Sometimes I wish I never taught Margaret stingray eyes. Luckily, I never taught her high power, so I turned that on. And finally, she gave up and handed over her brand new, never spent dollar bill. $8.66. I still need $11.34, I told everybody. I know how you can do that, Clementine, Mitchell said. You're amazing. Then he pushed the strolling towards the door. Come on, let's go. All right, I patted the art box. Don't tell it yet, okay? I said to the clerk, because I'm coming back. All right, that's the end of chapter 4 and chapter 5. Chapter 6 and 7 and 8 and the rest of the chapters are coming up later today or tomorrow. So have a great day and thanks for listening. See you later.